and there'll be televised highlights of that Autotest on Sunday.
Welcome to Larne for International Autotesting, sponsored by the Larne Borough Council. Over 60 drivers are taking part here this afternoon in 3 concurrently run tests, but it's the international competition that we're particularly interested in. 5 teams in all, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland and the Republic, with 3 drivers in each team, taking part over 8 tests, making a total of 24 in all. And quite simply, it is the national team which does those 24 tests in the least possible time that wins the competition. But that's not all, because this is the 25th anniversary of Autotesting in Northern Ireland. And consequently, the Larne Motor Club have invited along some of the absolute legends, including Paddy Hopkirk. And we'll be seeing them in a special Golden Oldies competition later on in the afternoon. Now, Autotesting, basically speaking, has 3 classes. The Class 1 is for rear-wheel drive, sports cars and specials. Class 2 for minis, front-wheel drive, all variants, and there are quite a number. And Class 3 for saloons. But Autotesting is a sport that requires many attributes. There certainly is the precise skill, there indeed is memory, and of course there's mechanical precision. And who better to tell us about it than the current Northern Ireland champion, William Rutherford, who's not taking part this afternoon because he's clerk of the course. Are you disappointed, William?
I'm slightly disappointed, but I would very much, of course, like to be out. I designed the courses myself, so I suppose I must have put in some of the features that I enjoy especially.
Right, well now tell me, what is the prime skill required for an Autotest driver?
I think if you could try and single it out, it would be car control combined with a little bit of mechanical sympathy. I refer, of course, to gearbox breakages and also preservation of your engine.
And what about all these amazing things we hear of, handbrake turns, nose throws? How do you execute one of those?
Well, let's start with the handbrake turn. Basically, the car's in first gear, you drive hard at the manoeuvre you wish to execute, pull the handbrake on and do a snappy reverse gear change. Quite simple.
And the nose throw, that's very spectacular looking.
Yes, it's very much throttle control because you're reversing hard, and then you spin the steering wheel, and when you then select first gear, let the clutch out, and you maintain a continuous motion forwards.
Well, I know you're going to demonstrate these to us in a minute or two, but how does the poor old car stand up to all this?
Well, if I can perhaps exercise some of that throttle control and a little bit of car sympathy, it should be okay, I hope. I've been very lucky today. I've been able to borrow one, and I'm particularly anxious not to break it.
Right, well, we look forward to seeing that. Now, tell me, Autotesting, is it a sport in itself? It's a fairly cheap form of sport, or is it a gateway to some of the more glamorous forms of motorsport?
Well, I think the first thing you asked me, it is motorsport in its purest form. It is, of course, the cheapest form. No motorsport is cheap, as you know, but it is certainly a gateway to other forms of rallying or racing or hill climbing, whatever you want to do. It does teach you those fundamental car skills that are essential in these other branches of the sport.
And I think the very fact that we've got Paddy Hopkirk and Ronnie McCartney and all these people who went on to wonderful things in motorsport with us this afternoon, they all started in this.
Oh, indeed they did. And in fact, we all contest for the Northern Ireland Championship. It's the Paddy Hopkirk Trophy, so he's very much our idol.
And how far do you think Mr. Rutherford can go?
Oh, I don't know. I'll give it another year, I think, anyway.
Well, one of the other skills definitely required for Autotesting is the skill of memory, because as you can see from this diagram of Test 1, red is forward, incidentally, and orange reverse. You require an awful lot of memory to find out where you're going. Basically speaking, we start here in a forward direction, up round the pylon, handbrake turn there, then along here we've got to change direction around here. It can happen anywhere between that pylon and that pylon. Again, it's probably a nose throw or into reverse, and a long, long reverse the whole way round here, down the far side of the course, through the slalom, through the pylons, again a tightening up here. We're bringing it back into the garage. We're crossing astride the 2 lines, penalties of 5 points if we don't. Forward again, into this garage, astride the line, back into reverse, and this is a tricky one, right round this pylon. To find it alone is tricky. Then change of direction again, forward, quick flick, handbrake turn into reverse, back astride the line, forward again, and try to remember which pylons to go through but at the finish line.
Right, off we go here, and the first thing I have to do is go up to this pylon here. I'm going to circle it, little bit of throttle control on and off the handbrake. I'm going to reverse over this gate now. Quickly reverse gear, keep the car going in one motion. Circle around this one. Oh, there goes the tail end a little bit. Just reversing here as fast as I can. Don't want to hit any of those pylons. This is a little bit tricky actually. And we're going to go. Oops, there's the tail away. Quickly into first gear. No time wasted, I hope. On and off this line. Select reverse gear. If I cross any of those lines or hit any of the pylons, that's penalty markers. Oh, a little bit wild. Oh, I've hit one, I've hit a pylon. That's 5 seconds onto my score. Reverse over this line, stop astride into first gear, and go for that finish.
Well, if you thought test A was bad, just look at this one. Again, it's red forward, orange reverse. Off the start line, straight a good long charge, then handbrake turn to get her through the pylon, line her up again, in reverse, of course, off in a forward direction. And this really where it goes berserk. You've got to go round these pylons, right round again, and round for the third time before you come out, and down into here, again into reverse, forward out in a different direction out of this pylon, very hard to see on the day, back down, straddle the line, up in reverse, and look at this, right round the pylon once again, a very long reverse, throw the nose, get her going into this very tight garage. And this is a problem for the bigger cars because they've got to go round once, twice before they come out without hitting any of the pylons. Then a quick blast down here, again a change of direction as you go through that gate, a change of direction again through this gate and over the finish line, a very fast finish. Well, the position after 4 tests is that Northern Ireland leads the Republic of Ireland, England are in 3rd place, last year's winners incidentally, and Wales are 4th, with Scotland trailing in 5th place. Northern Ireland's total, 698.9 seconds, from Éire's 734.0 seconds. So quite a comfortable position for Northern Ireland at the moment, but a long way to go. Now this is Noel Cochrane, A1 from Northern Ireland. A very quick man indeed, 1600 Ford engine in this one, lying second in his class in the overall competition. And of course Northern Ireland leading the international set at the moment. Cochrane driving beautifully. And look at this, right on the pylons. Look how close he is there. No wasted space whatsoever, yet a lot of speed and dash, and that really is a beautiful performance. Complains that this little car that he's built himself is a little bit overweight, but you certainly wouldn't think it watch it at the moment. Now he goes into the reverse section of this test, right around this pylon again, not just quite so easy to do in a midget, and you really have to control that front end, and he just catches it nicely. Throws the nose beautifully through 180 degrees into the box, down goes the power. And round it comes, spins on its own axis, and Noel Cochrane must be surely set for a good time here. That's the part of the course. Oh, and he's a little bit, didn't quite line it up for the finish there, but he lost very little time. Frank Lenehan from the Republic of Ireland on his run through Test 6 at the moment. Again in the large saloon car class, a very, very experienced Autotest driver in this section. And once again, one of these drivers that uses the knob on the steering wheel, just making it easier to change direction, a standard steering wheel as opposed to a racing steering wheel, which of course would be allowed. But beautifully positioning the little Metro. Metro's become terribly popular in auto testing because you can use a lot of the Cooper S bits on it, making them very strong in the transmission, and of course good placings on the gear change. It's very important on the gear gate, the relationship between first and reverse, because that of course has been used all the time and he hit a pylon. It's gone, 5 seconds I'm afraid. 5 seconds there on the entrance to the garage, he just saw it too late. He did try to correct it, but that's going to be, again, pretty disastrous for the Republic of Ireland. And indeed, poor Frank will be pretty sick because he's already had 2 pylons for his team. The Republic, before the start of this section, lying second overall in the competition. Very unofficially, we make it about 1:10.2. The fastest time so far has been 1 minute 6.4. Noel Cochrane in the Ford engine midget, a member of the Northern Ireland team. Graham Powell, then, with probably one of the hardest tasks to uphold for the Welsh team, because he's a member of the large saloon category. And, of course, the Welsh team, who are not really in the hunt at the moment, lying in fourth place overall in the international competition. But Graham Powell and his brother representing the country here this afternoon in Larne. He's from Hereford, and it's a very big car to maneuver around these very tight obstacles. RS2000, pretty standard form, this one. Driven to the course, and indeed so many of the cars were this afternoon. Crushing the gears a little bit there. And he is the Welsh and West Midland class champion in this category. Again, the problem being it's very large car to get around without hitting anything, and that's just exactly what he's done. A fairly reasonable time, 55.92 we make it unofficially. The fastest on this course so far being Robert Woodside, 43.3 seconds. Well, there's family knowledge being really tested, because we see Robert Dickson, a member of the Northern Ireland team, talking indeed to his cousin, Colin Earney, who will go next in the large saloon car class. And they're just really trying to memorize the course, this very difficult Test 6. And there's Colin Earney then ready to go, lying second overall in that large saloon car class after 4 tests that was. And a man that's really on the up in auto testing. Only started in 1977 when he won the Beginners' Championship in the very first year, and indeed he'd no license to go and do those events. He had to be driven to the course. So here he goes. Robert Dickson having given him some last-minute advice there. Round the pylons. Really beginning to get the Metro well stoked up here on the handbrake again, keeping it nice and tight. 1275 cc Metro this is. Down into this one that's given a lot of people a lot of trouble today, but that was beautiful, absolutely no hesitation. Through this one now in the long reverse. Once again, vision, of course, in the saloon car not as good as it would be in a midget, and vision very important in auto testing, because these pylons are very hard to decipher when you're working that hard and changing direction so often. On the handbrake, round the garage twice. Front wheel drive, keep the foot in it and just keep the handbrake on tight. Rear wheel's locked. Away he goes again. Again, steadied himself up nicely. This is going to be a very good time, certainly in his class, and certainly no mistakes for the leaders, Northern Ireland. 1 minute 10 we make it, a very good class. Again, that's on official time. Good run in the large saloons. Test 5, and one of the absolute legends of the sport, 9 times South of Ireland Autotest champion, Dermot Carnegie. This is, of course, the mini specials, so the mini variants class, and the very popular now cutaway minis being developed over the years and very attractively built indeed. So here goes Carnegie. He's leading the competition overall at the end of 4 tests, and of course also leading his class. He's also, incidentally, leading the Southern Championship again for another year. At the moment, the leader of the 1984 Houston Trophy. Just doing it all perfectly at the moment. Oh, and I spoke too soon. 5-second penalty. And the Republic now have had 3 cone penalties in the last 3 runs. Utter disaster, and very disappointed. You can see Dermot's face there. So 46.81 unofficially, +5. The first Scottish competitor we've seen, Tony Mitchell in his Mini. He is also running with John Cook in a midget and Robin Archibald in a Metro. Well down the overall placings after the first 4 tests in Class 2, so not really figuring very strongly here today so far. mechanical engineer in his 4th year of club events. And really Scotland, in fact, doing it very gingerly and getting a wrong direction. This is not going to cut any ice, certainly in the overall placings. And indeed, a lot of the golden oldies were probably going a little bit quicker than this. But however, Tony from Glasgow, obviously out there enjoying himself. Now got a nice nose throw there. And Scotland trailing in the international competition at the moment. And I'm afraid that time, 59, way out of reach of some of the quick times. Woodside's time, 43.2. John Underwood, the current British champion, and of course member of the English team here this afternoon in the mini variant class. A very quick man indeed. This is a 1380cc mini special with the Alden engine, and Underwood is a man who's determinedly fought his way up the auto-testing ladder. He realized that the top men in this sport were in Ireland, so he got sponsorship from a ferry company and spent 2 years coming to Ireland every weekend to do crossroad tests. And that's the sort of determination that has brought him right to the top. Unfortunately, at the moment, England lying 3rd in this competition, and John Underwood, after some pylon mistakes this morning, well down the placings, down at about 7th in his class. We would have expected him to be much higher, but that was a good time. Once again, the bogey time here seems to be about 43.3, but Underwood, we reckon, around the 45 mark. This is the other member of the English team in the large saloon car class, Arthur Robinson. Arthur Robinson, who we've already seen on 5, going well here, and this should suit him much better, a much more open test. The 2-litre Escort, the farmer from the Lake District, really ploughing round here and possibly even showing some of his old stock car racing experience. So all very nice, and he's taken a long time to get that sorted out. He was just a little bit wild as he came out in the slalom that time. And there he goes, now into the reverse section, which won't be easy in this Escort. And to follow that, of course, the garage, which will be particularly difficult. England lying in 3rd place overall in this competition at the moment. And this is where he's... Oh, I thought he was going to go too wide there, but he's really got the back end of the Escort singing. And there he goes, Arthur Robinson then. Very spirited driver indeed. And really handling this large car very spectacularly and justifying, really, getting the applause of the crowd. Well, the one man that can break Noel Cochrane's time of 1 minute 6.4 is this man, the leader of the Northern Irish team, Robert Dickson. The Metro Special, an absolute joy to watch. A flowing, fast movement, and look at the way it all comes together so beautifully. Round he goes, again on the handbrake, again tight, but running a little bit wider than some of the other competitors. And it never seems to stop, that car. It just sails from first to reverse. Again, a tiny little jab at the handbrake to make the positioning perfect as he went into reverse. And that is just magic to watch. Straight into the garage, no question of the pylon on the entry. Again, holding on to the handbrake, locking that rear wheel as he comes out. And this is the one that is really tricky. It's caught out quite a few people, but no problems for Dickson. Remember that time, 1 minute 6.4, and unofficially that's way inside it. 1 minute 3.4, taking 3 seconds off the previous best. And after 6 tests, the situation is that Northern Ireland are still, and in fact have increased their lead over Éire, and England is still in 3rd place, Wales 4th, and Scotland 5th. So no actual change over the totaling, but in actual fact, Northern Ireland have really pulled out to about a 55-second lead now over the second-place team of Era. That, of course, would account for the pylons that we saw being knocked down. Robert Dickson leads Class 2 and indeed leads the overall competition. So the leader of the Northern Ireland team having a wonderful afternoon this afternoon. This is the Welsh sports car member, Steve Powell, in his midget. And somebody who really enjoys using the rear-wheel drive characteristic of that car and really throwing it around. The Welsh team lying second to last in the competition at the moment, but Steve Powell has put up good individual performances throughout the afternoon. The long reverse once again gets it nicely into the garage. There's the marshal waiting to put up his board in case anything is knocked or is the line fault, but not this time. 12.75 midget being beautifully handled by the man who takes his auto testing quite seriously. He's the Welsh champion in this class and the West Midlands champion, and that was a very nice handbrake turn. So Steve Powell getting a good time there, 47 seconds dead. Excellent time. He beat his own previous time by 0.3 of a second. Frank Lenehan, the Saloon car member of the Republic of Ireland team, who lie in second position, but trailing Northern Ireland by a considerable amount, almost 80 seconds now, over 80 seconds in fact. So Frank Lenehan's own bogey time here on this one was 56.9. That's what he did the last time round. The Dubliner, who has competed in Autotests for many years now, very dedicated to the sport, and recently changed to this Metro from his long-time companion, the little Datsun Cherry, that really had given great service over very many years. Nice one there, beautifully done, absolutely perfect judgment there over the finish line. So that's a much improved time on his previous run, 48.7. Steve Griffin did 69.1 the last time round here, and it's a test that really suits the beach buggy, as we've seen with Robert Woodside. Steve, who looked so flustered there, but far from it, really getting it all to work. Full staff of Irish auto testing, and there he goes, and that's a beautiful performance, just not quite so gently into reverse as we saw with Robert Woodside, and of course a little less power than Woodside has, but very nicely and very straight there. This is where you really have to be careful. In reverse like that, you can make enormous mistakes that would cost a lot of time. Now, power on Earney, get her going. Notice the way he got her turning first on the handbrake and then put the power down. And that's where we saw the magnificent Woodside. Again, very quick, very little time wasted there indeed. And round he comes to just go sideways over the finish line, 1:9.1. Not as quick as his last run. Sorry, identical to his last run. Now the English team member, Malcolm Livingstone, in his Lotus 7, again a car suited to this very fast test indeed, and somebody who was fourth quickest the last time round on this particular test. 1600cc Ford engine, working hard now and been beautifully driven, really under control, and nothing too sideways, but he did take a long approach in reverse there into that garage. Quite legal, quite legitimate. And this is where the Lotus 7 does have difficulties. The longer wheelbase makes it a little bit more cumbersome in reverse. Now he's got to really get that spinning. How's it going? The pendulum effect that they refer to in auto tests, and that was really beautiful. And I would imagine that this car is not as easy to drive as a midget, but if you do manage to master it, it could be fractionally quicker. Colin Earney, the third member of the all-victorious Northern Ireland team at the moment. Not only is he part of the Northern Ireland section of this international Autotest, which is absolutely cleaning up, but he also leads his own class in the overall competition. He's lying in 9th place overall, which is incredible for a large saloon car entrant. So this man from Cumber, who's the cousin of Robert Dickson, who leads the competition outright, really has come to the fore with precision and no mistakes. And that's quite incredible. It's a dangerous thing to say in any competition, but if you were ever going to be sure of anyone this afternoon, surely it'll be Earney. And he's attacking the car there and really giving the transmission a pounding. 48.1, an excellent time. Now, this is the man who's lying in 2nd place overall. He was fastest on this test for a long time before Dickson and indeed Underwood overtook him. He's a very spectacular driver indeed. The Ford engine in the midget really seems to work here. And Cochrane having a super run this afternoon. 2nd place overall, and just look at that poetry in motion there. He's absolutely at top of that motor car. But he was a bit slow. He's lost a lot of time there. A lot of time into that garage. He just didn't have the car properly lined up. And I'm afraid that's cost him valuable seconds. His total at the moment, his previous time was 66.4 seconds, 1 minute 6.4. And I don't think he's going to beat it this time because of that mistake. Round he goes in the garage beautifully. And again, he gets himself a little bit tied up there. But does a nice nose throw, a little bit wild again. And it's going to be slower than his first run, about 3 seconds slower than his first run. But much to the joy of the crowd. For Arthur Robinson of England, the Kendal farmer, this is a vital run. He's in the saloon car class, and he's had excellent results so far today. And England now only trail the Republic of Ireland by 11 seconds, so we could well see a change there. Eire lying in 2nd place and England in 3rd. Robinson, who's been leading his class in the association part of the competition comfortably, is really manoeuvring this rather large saloon very effectively round these tight objects all afternoon. His best time on the first run through this test was 51.5 seconds, and so far there's been no mistakes. Now there's where the dimensions of that car are a real problem. And he comes on the handbrake, and a little bit of problem getting in there. 51.5 was his previous best, and indeed he's better than 50.5, so 1 second to the better, and that's not easy in auto testing. Well, I'm afraid that's a rather sorrowful picture for Scotland there, because that's Robin Archibald's car, which has broken down and got a fail on one of the tests, which means a maximum score. So although Scotland were trailing in last place in this competition, they will now probably be a substitution, and there's very little they can do now. In fact, nothing they can do to catch Wales, who are 1 place ahead of them. So Dermot Carnegie, it's been a kind of up and down day. He led the competition in the morning, then he got a penalty in the first test after lunch, which dropped him to 3rd place. He's now fought his way back into 2nd place in the overall positions, and of course he is the leading member of the Republic of Ireland team. This is his last test of the day, and absolutely vital. Now, whether he could catch Robert Dickson is very doubtful. Dickson, with still 2 tests to go, leads by over 25 seconds, a long, long way in auto testing. But he really has to keep the shoe in, because Noel Cochrane is not that far behind. 68.7 was his best run the last time round. And here he goes, round in the garage, and look at the concentration of that multi-champion's face. Oh, and he's blown it. He has blown it. He didn't hit the pylon, he didn't lose a lot of time, but he lost any chance of catching the leader. British champion John Underwood on his last test of the afternoon. not a particularly happy day for John. He's in 7th place overall in the whole competition for individual awards. But of course, England is lying 3rd behind the Republic of Ireland, and he really has to go some if they can overhaul that position. And it's quite possible for them to do it. In total time between the 3 team members, they were only 11.1 seconds behind. And there you see, the little car never really stops. It just locks wheels and changes direction. And the whole trick is to have your wheels locked as you change gear. Consequently, you don't damage your synchro meshes or your gear cobs. Here he goes, throws the nose, beautifully all lined up for the garage. Round he goes. Once again, the handbrake nearly coming out of the floor. Out he comes, accelerating down. He's got to go backwards through this little box. Roll the nose again, very fast, down to the finish line. And a little handbrake to finish it all off, and it's a beautiful time, 1 minute 4.9. John Wilson of Wales in his final run of the day. Wales lying in 4th place amongst the nations at the moment. Right he goes, this ultra lightweight little car that he's built himself. He's a computer programmer, and really on the handbrake there, very nice indeed. And down he goes into reverse. And of course, this lightweight Mini up against the Mini Specials in Class 2. So really the Mini Specials now having the advantage. His best time on this test so far, 77.4 seconds. And of course, the best time in his class goes to Robert Dickson at 63.4, so there's quite a gap, as you can see. But a very professional test indeed, and nicely done. For Robert Dickson, it is the last test of a glorious day. Not only is he leading this competition outright individually, he's leading the Northern Ireland team, which unless a dreadful mistake occurs here, are going to absolutely clean up this international competition. He really hasn't done anything wrong so far. The pressure, of course, is on, but as always, it's that familiar flowing style that we see here from the couple. Round he goes. The last slalom in a forward direction now. He has to position the little Metro, and just look at that. Absolutely perfect. Now back into this garage. Get it straight out so that he can go straight in reverse. Very fast indeed. Round the pylons again, and what a performance. Now, a change of direction and into the garage for the last time. Round the hand goes, on goes the handbrake, down goes the right pedal, and out he comes. And once again, it seems almost impossible for this man to make a mistake now. Into the forward gear, he's coming up to the very last pylon of the day. His fastest time previously was 1 minute 3.4. He's just 0.1 of a second outside that. But what an afternoon for Robert Dickson. What an afternoon for the Northern Ireland team. And indeed, he goes home with so many awards because they've also won the Inter-Association Award.